Our Olympic heroes are home and India gave them the biggest, most emotional welcome. After their grand felicitation at the national capital, these Olympic champions are all set to finally return to their hometowns. The gold, silver and bronze medalists, all of them make their way back to Haryana. Villages are all set to roll the red carpet for Nira Chopra, for Ravi Dahiya, for Bajrang Punia and some of the hockey stars as well. Haryana has been celebrating with joy and pride, watching stars from the state shine at the world stage. Preparations are on in full swing at parts of Haryana, including Sonipat as well as Panipat. They want to welcome their heroes in style. The Indian contingent were also given a ceremonious felicitation soon after their touchdown in Delhi. All the Olympic medalists were individually felicitated by the sports minister. They in fact spoke out about their struggles and what the medal means to them.
The champions have returned with their heads held high.
पूरा जो एयरपोर्ट है वो ऐसा लगा कि यहीं पर सिमट कर आ गया है। हर तरह से जो फ्लाइट अटेंडेंट थे आपने देखा तिरंगा यहाँ पे लहराया गया।
From the word go, as soon as the champions set foot at the Delhi airport, a sea of fans surrounded them. All one could see were elated fans trying to capture a moment with athletes who created history. Slowly the champions waded their way through the crowds, both inside the airport and outside.
And that's Ravi Dahiya's village of Nahari. They are from Nahari. Nahari is a very small town.
The fans went berserk with their celebrations. The revelers came from many parts of the country.
Can you see that man? You know, people are giving their luggage for them to stand on to play that holes. That guy's actually stood on top of luggage.
Age, not a barrier, not even a number. Also in attendance, many aspiring athletes seeking inspiration.
आप क्या बनना चाहते हो?
मैं बड़े होके एथलीट बनना चाहती हूँ।
एथलीट बनना चाहते हो? आप कितने साल के हो? 9 years के हो। आपका नाम क्या है?
आशीष सिद्धू। आशीष सिद्धू।
बेटा जोर से बोलो।
आशीष सिद्धू।
आपका नाम क्या है?
मनप्रीत।
जोर से बोलो। एथलीट बनना चाहते हो?
मनप्रीत सिंह।
कितने साल के हो?
मनप्रीत।
मनप्रीत आप कितने साल के हो? 1 साल, 2 साल, 4 साल? 6। ओहो, 6 साल के हो। क्या बनना चाहते हो?
जैवलिन थ्रोअर।
एथलीट बनोगे?
India's Olympic heroes get a befitting welcome. They earned glory for the nation. And now the nation thanks them with lots of love and some band and baja. With Preeti Chaudhary and Mausami Singh in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
And gold medalist Nira Chopra is on everyone's minds after his stellar show on Saturday evening at Tokyo. As his javelin hit the 87-meter mark in Tokyo, in his hometown in Haryana, kids have been inspired to train harder and become as successful as Neeraj. Ashutosh Mishra shows you the story of how these kids have been so inspired by Nira Chopra, what their aspirations are now.
Nira Chopra threw 87.58 meters for the gold, but its impact is being seen 5,800 kilometers away. Kids in Khandra village in Haryana's Panipat district, where Neeraj was born, are suddenly beginning to believe that they could be Olympians too. Even as Neeraj threw his arms up in triumph in Tokyo, celebrations broke out in the village. not even a blip on India's map. Now dreams are being sown in Khandra.
When Nira Chopra not only qualified but won his first medal, inspired many in his village to become another Nira Chopra. And now his village in Panipat, there are many preparing for gold medals. And the inspiration is Nira Chopra. Javelin का शौक कब से आया?
जावलिन जब भाई नीरज ने इंटरनेशनल मेडल लिया था जब से जावलिन कर रहे हैं।
ये किस साल की बात है?
ये 2016 की।
Days after Chopra's incredible achievement, sports is on every kid's mind in Khandra.
क्या इंस्पायर किया आपको कि इस खेल में उतरना चाहिए?
नीरज भैया को देखकर।
तो नीरज ने कभी आपको कोई स्पेशल टिप्स दी कि कुछ खास नियम है जो फॉलो करना चाहिए?
यस सर।
आपका क्या सपना है?
हम भी नीरज भैया की तरह बनना चाहते हैं।
A number of kids have taken up javelin here, a region where wrestling and other sports like cricket are the general choice of youth.
javelin का शौक कब से पड़ा?
जब नीरज भैया का मेडल लाया था 2016 में वर्ल्ड चैंपियनशिप में।
घर वालों ने पूछा नहीं ये कौन सा खेल है, ऐसे खेल में क्यों जाना चाहते हो, कभी नाम भी नहीं सुना होगा?
नहीं, जब नीरज आया सबको शौक हो गया था, अपने आप भेजने लगे थे।
घर वाले भेजने लगे? क्या बोलते थे? नीरज चोपड़ा बनना है?
यस सर।
The image of Chopra breaking his fall after his gold-winning throw is not one that Khandra is going to forget in a long, long time.
वो जब गिर के थ्रो करते हैं वो अच्छा लगता है बहुत।
The kids are now waiting for their hero to return home. And sure enough, many are hoping to get some personal tips from the man who put India on the world track and field mark. With Ashutosh Mishra in Khandra, Bureau Report, India Today.
And let's get you our top political story of the day. Weeks of hangama that we've been seeing during the monsoon session of Parliament. And finally, you're going to be seeing a constructive debate with both sides, the government and opposition on board. The debate will be on the OBC bill, and that's likely to happen today. The opposition has agreed to cooperate with the government over the OBC bill, which was introduced in Parliament on Monday. This bill essentially seeks to restore the state's power to make their own OBC list. It also seeks to undo a May 5th order of the Supreme Court that nixes the Maratha quota on the grounds of exceeding 50% quota cap, which is why you have the opposition currently trying to cooperate with the government on this. The decision to lend support to the centre came after leaders of 15 opposition parties met to discuss their strategy for the final lap of the monsoon session in the presence of Leader of Opposition Mallikarjun Kharge as well as Congress MP Rahul Gandhi. This is the first time since the monsoon session commenced on 19 July that opposition parties have agreed to a discussion in Parliament, which has so far been in a logjam due to continued protests over the Pegasus row and the farm laws. The BJP has issued a 3-line whip to its MPs to be present in the House today.
जब ये सदन में 102 अमेंडमेंट बिल पास किया गया था, हम लोग सरकार को ये नसीहत दी थी, ये सचेत किया था कि आप प्रदेशों की अधिकार को हनन मत किया करो, लेकिन ये सरकार हमारे बात सुनना नहीं। ये बहुमत की बाहुबली से हमारी बात नहीं सुने गए। लेकिन आज क्या हुआ? आज जब हिंदुस्तान की आम लोग, हिंदुस्तान की पिछड़े वर्ग लोग जब आंदोलन जाते हैं, तो ये उनकी आंदोलन की डर के मारे चपेट में आ चुके हैं। हो गया। और अभी ये मानने के लिए
आधे से ज्यादा पॉपुलेशन इस देश में बैकवर्ड क्लासेस है। ये हम सबका फर्ज होता है कि जो कानून गरीबों के हित में आता है और बैकवर्ड क्लास के हित में आता है, हम सारे लोग समर्थन करें। इसीलिए हम एक होकर इसको जल्द से जल्द पास करने के लिए तैयार हो जाएंगे।
Now, amid the uproar over Pegasus and the 3 contentious farm laws in Parliament, the opposition has decided to cooperate with the government to pass the OBC bill. So once this bill becomes a law, every state and union territory in India will have the power to go ahead and draw up its own OBC list, which can be distinct also from the central list. Our next report explains to you all about the OBC bill. Here's everything you need to know about this bill.
Interestingly, amidst the parliament logjam, the opposition parties on Monday unanimously decided to support the amendment bill since it has massive political ramifications. Not only some of the regional parties but also OBC leaders within the NDA have been demanding restoration of the state power to determine their own OBC list. The amendment is required since the Supreme Court in its Maratha reservation ruling in May earlier this year had said that the President, based on the recommendations of the National Commission for Backward Classes, would determine which communities will be on the state OBC list. This had put interests of nearly 1/5 of the total OBC communities at risk. The amendment will clarify that the states can maintain state list as was the case earlier. The state list will be taken out of the ambit of the President and will be notified by the state assemblies. An amendment of the Constitution can be initiated by introduction of a bill in either house of the Parliament. The bill will require special majority for passage in each of the house, that is, by a majority of the total membership of the House and by a majority not less than 2/3 of the members of that House present and voting. The opposition parties obviously don't want to be seen as a stumbling block in the way of the bill, particularly at a time when the elections are round the corner in states like UP, where OBC vote bank is very crucial.
So we're finally going to be seeing some business in Parliament. Last few weeks, there was a stalemate over the Pegasus Snoopgate issue. And today, the Supreme Court is going to be resuming its hearing of the case today. In the hearing last week, the top court remarked that Snoopgate allegations were serious if the media reports are correct. A two-member bench headed by Chief Justice N.V. Ramana asked all petitioners to serve a copy of their pleas, of their petitions to the central government so that its stand could be heard and be made clear in the top court. The Supreme Court is hearing a batch of petitions seeking a court-monitored probe into the reports of the central government allegedly using Israeli software Pegasus developed by the NSO company to spy on politicians, on activists and journalists. Meanwhile, interestingly, the Defence Ministry submitted a written statement in Parliament on Monday saying they did not have any transaction with the Israeli surveillance firm NSO, which has manufactured and made that spyware Pegasus. Let's move on to more stories that we're tracking this Tuesday morning. Let's tell you about what's the situation in Afghanistan. As Taliban, backed by Pakistan, advances and one city after the other falls, there's an increasing threat to the lives of minority Hindu and Sikh families in Afghanistan. And Congress leader Javeer Shergill has written a letter to the External Affairs Minister seeking the urgent evacuation of Hindus and Sikhs from Afghanistan. The BJP has accused the Congress of double standards, saying the same Congress had opposed the Citizenship Amendment Act that was meant to help Hindus and Sikhs in the neighbourhood. Anand Patel gets you the latest on this latest political fight.
With every new conquest of the Taliban in Afghanistan, the threat to the minority Sikh and Hindu communities is rapidly rising. A knock on the door from Islamist extremists is a fear that Hindus and Sikhs are constantly living with. Sikhs and Hindus have appealed to the international community for urgent evacuation, and they've now got support from a Congress leader in India. Javeer Shergill has written a letter to the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar seeking help, saying India must consider giving special visas to minority Sikhs and Hindus trapped in Afghanistan. He raised the issue of the attack in Jalalabad, in which 19 Sikhs and Hindus were killed, to show the urgency. Javeer Shergill also said around 650 Sikhs and 50 Hindus are targets of the Taliban in Afghanistan. Persecuted Hindus and Sikhs are amongst the 6 religious minorities that stand to benefit from CAA in our neighborhood. The government had last year given visas to 11 Sikh and Hindus from Afghanistan as a special case. Among them, Nidan Singh Sachdeva, who was abducted from a Gurdwara and later released by the Taliban.
सिखा दोनों तो बहुत तंग हैं जवान कुड़ी बाहर नहीं निकल सकती 15-20 दिन पहले साढ़े एक कुड़ी ने लेके गए सी ते उन्होंने शुक्र के वाहिगुरू सरकार दी बेनती ओ आएगी कि उन्होंने वापस लेके आए.
The letter by the Congress leader comes in the backdrop of a recent appeal issued by the Sikh and the Hindu communities of war-torn Afghanistan to rescue them to safety. The government of India will need to act swiftly before it's too late. With camera person Sanjeev, this is Anand Patel in New Delhi for India Today.
Uttar Pradesh's Prayagraj is reeling under a massive flood crisis. The Ganga and Yamuna rivers are flowing above the danger mark, and that's inundated all the low-lying areas. Residents are facing a tough time in making ends meet. India Today's Abhishek Mishra visited the flood-affected parts of Prayagraj and gets you this ground report.
What were once farmlands are now completely inundated. These are villages of Prayagraj district. The Ganga and Yamuna are flowing way above the danger mark.
We are here right now at the Fafa Mau bridge. This is the Ghat, Fafa Mau Ghat, where you can see that there is a big increase in the level of Ganga, and it has crossed the point of 84.77 meter, which is beyond the danger. At the same time, you can see that this water is now getting alongside all in the residential area, where the situation is getting worse day by day.
India Today reached the low-lying areas of Prayagraj. These images reveal what is unfolding away from the district headquarters. Houses are nearly submerged. Villagers are forced to wade through stomach-deep water.
The situation in Prayagraj is getting worse day by day, with the water level increasing and crossing the danger bar. We are right now here at one of the local locality which is known as Chota Baghara. Around more than 90 to 95% of the families have already relocated, has vacated this particular space, and at the same time few of the people are here at their rooftop, you can see, and these local people who are helping each other are coming out to transfer and relocate these local people.
Rescue teams have been deployed to help those affected by the floods. Many villagers too have extended a helping hand.
अभी तो कोई राहत समिति नहीं पहुंची है। हम लोग जो हैं नाव से मतलब ला रहे हैं सामान वामान जो है।
अच्छा, तो आप क्या यहाँ बाहर से पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं, नौकरी पेशा है, क्या कर रहे हैं?
यहाँ के लोकल है, मतलब
लोकल है।
हाँ
सर जी, बहुत परेशानी सामना करना पड़ रहा है। हम लोग नौकरी पेशा आदमी है, आने जाने में दिक्कत हो रही है।
क्या इससे पहले भी ऐसी स्थिति हुई कि इस साल कुछ ज्यादा खराब हो रही है?
नहीं सर, इस साल ज्यादा है,
ज्यादा खराब है।
Authorities have set up relief camps for those displaced by the floods. But all isn't well at the relief camps.
जब यहाँ से आए तो कोई हमारा नाम नहीं कल रहा, तो हम लोग बारिश में थी सर, बारिश थी सर, हम बारिश के समय कल रात में हमको कोई सुविधा नहीं मिल रही है सर।
क्यों नहीं? आपको किसी ने कुछ नहीं पूछा? खाना
कुछ नहीं, खाना पीना कुछ भी नहीं। यहाँ आए तो मेरा ही नाम नहीं, मेरी बिटिया का नाम अकेले लिखा था, तो मैं बताइए मैं कहाँ जाऊँ? इतने पानी से हिल के आई हूँ, हाँ, कोई मदद नहीं।
The youth also accused the UP administration of laxity.
सर अभी लाइट नहीं आ रहा है तो पानी नहीं आ रहा है, पानी नहीं आ रहा है तो हम फिर नहीं खा पाएंगे, नहीं फ्रेश हो पाएंगे। अब जानिए कि मतलब नहीं ढंग से पढ़ पा रहे हैं, नहीं ढंग से रह पा रहे हैं, नहीं कुछ कर पा रहे हैं।
कोई मदद, कोई प्रशासन की
कोई 1% कोई मदद नहीं है।
The district authorities, however, reject the charges.
सारे क्षेत्रों के हम लोगों ने जाकर 2-3 बार दौरा भी किया है, तो वहाँ के ज़्यादातर लोगों को हम लोगों ने शिफ्ट किया है। आज सुबह हमारे 10 शिविर संचालित थे, अभी हमारे 15 शिविर हो चुके हैं और हमने कमिश्नर साहब ने सभी लोगों ने जितने शिविर है उन सब जगह का विजिट भी किया है और इस तरह की कोई बात हमारे सामने नहीं आई।
With the continuous increase in the water level of Yamuna and Ganga, the situation in Prayagraj is getting worse. The houses are under the water and that is the situation which is not getting better day by day. Clearly, the flood has severely affected the lives of many in Uttar Pradesh, Prayagraj. With cameraman Sanjay Singh, Abhishek Mishra for India Today.